What's good, y'all? You already know what it is, baby. This is T Paris, aka the Young Marvin Gaye. This rap shit, most original, most creative, most in tune with the times, and I'm sort of like your inspiration. And this is P's Perspective, the recap. Let's not waste no time. Let's get right into it. Before we even start, though, I'm gonna ask could y'all please hit that like button, man. Could you please hit that subscribe button? In the comments, man, please keep the comments coming. We so appreciative of the comments. Now, this week our topic discussion was safe space. You know, we focused on self-care. Just kind of felt like with everything going on from the coronavirus, you know, the police shooting of George Floyd, it just been overwhelming, you know, just been a lot going on. And I kind of think that, you know, for the average person, it's too much on your mental all at one time, man. We need a break. We need an opportunity to just be able to recharge, unwind, you know, get away from all the monotony of what's going on right now. And we kind of felt like we've been addressing so many different issues that's going on throughout our community. Maybe it was time to focus on some solutions, you know. Solutions are always a good thing. So some of the solutions that we spoke about, we're going to touch on those. We're going to get into some of the comments. Of course, I got my little heart-to-heart section. But I just want to let y'all know I really appreciate what's going on right now, man. Like, we're in the middle of the revolution. We're in the middle of the revolution, you know? And we all a part of it, man. So it's a beautiful time, man. You know, it's up and down like a roller coaster. You know, some days we like real fiery, and some days we down and we almost feel like we drained and we defeated. But at the end of the day, we still fighting that fight. So I just want to say thank you to all of y'all, man. We in the right place at the right time, man. Some of our solutions we spoke about, you know, the first thing we said was that, you know, writing, little free writes, you know what I'm saying? Get a chance to get some of your feelings out there on the paper. We spoke about getting in touch with, you know, a different generation, whether it be one of your elders or it be one of the youth, you know, get some different perspective, get a chance to see how other people think, how other people feel. We also spoke about getting in tune with nature, man, trying to find that balance. I went out there and started jogging today, man. Yeah, I started jogging. I just want to reiterate, man, it's important we focus on our health, you know. That was something else that we spoke about, too. Remain healthy, inside and outside, man. A lot of green vegetables, vitamins, sea moss, elderberry, black seed oil, you know, kale. You know, all the good things, man. All the good things, man. Keep us strong, keep us healthy, and keep us ready to be on front line for this war that we going to, man. You know, it's a revolution right now, man. Something else we spoke about, social media etiquette. You know what I'm saying? We had a couple solutions with that. Don't be afraid to delete people, whether it be family, friends, or them racist people just jumping on your posts. We spoke about joining positive groups. You know, it's important that you find some space to talk about things other than what's going on right now in the world, man, because that could be overwhelming. And, you know, sometimes we carry over the energy into other different conversations. And like we said, it's really not fair to go there with those, you know, with those situations sometimes. We just want to be at peace. We just, you know, want to kick back and relax sometimes. The other thing we spoke about is logging off, you know. Don't be afraid to log off the computer, man. Don't allow people to bully you. Don't allow people to rent space in your mind. You know, don't be afraid to just pump your brakes, man. Just fall back. Can't dance to every song, man. Sometimes you don't got to respond, you know what I'm saying, to the ignorance of other people. I want to take a second, too, and say thank you to the women, man. I think it's important we take a moment and say thank you to the women. I think with the death of George Floyd, you know, we really focused on police brutality and the police gunning down our black men. I think it was beautiful because a lot of women was right there on the front line during the marching and the protesting. So a lot of women, you know what I'm saying, making posts on social media about loving black men and being supportive of the black men. Women are black also, and so they are also feeling the brunt of what's going on, man. And so even though we took a moment to, you know, to show some solidarity and some unity for the men, let's give it up for the women, man, because they've been right here by our side and they've been playing their part, and they also been playing some of our part too, because some of the men been sitting at home on their pockets, man. Let's keep it a buck. Shout out to the women for that, man. Another thing I want to point out, Let's remember that we don't own none of the stuff that we fighting over, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Gentrification. A lot of them businesses, they belong to the Italians. They belong to the Jews. They don't really belong to us. We renting space. So let's try not to beat our own people down, you know what I'm saying, about the way that they vent. You know, I think it's important that we iterate that, you know. You got to let people get out there and do what they do. Everybody got a part to play. And if that's the way that they want to vent and they want to voice their frustrations, yo, who are we to tell them that they wrong, man? I think we got to commend people for having so much passion and so much heart. Something else I want to point out, man, a psyop. Y'all keep that in your mind. We're going to come back to that at the end of this joint, man. We're going to come back to that at the end of that. The questions that we asked this week. Question number 1, what was the biggest lesson that you learned? Our second question was, what is our goal? Like, what do we want to accomplish with all of this? And our last question was, when did the fight inside of you start? When did you start to get that revolutionary spirit? Let's get into some of the comments, see what the people had to say, and then we have our little heart-to-heart, man. Appreciate y'all. Our first comment come from George Graham. He said, hold on. We got the garden show. I love you, bro. Sugar Hill, man. Yo, shout out to George Graham, man. Some of y'all know him as Georgie Sweets. That's one of the OGs from Sugar Hill, man. Every time he see me, he want to talk about hip-hop. He want to talk about getting Apollo, getting the garden, and take it to another level, man. You got to appreciate the passion and resilience, man. Toast to the town, brother. Our next comment come from Trisha Hopkins. She said, the biggest lesson I've learned is that we have a lot of work to do. And I didn't realize a lot of people are not on the same page with the topic. The second question said, I think that there's several goals. Some people want respect, some people want justice, and some people have had enough. And at this point, they just want to get even. The third question, he said, I respect people and I see protests and I do my part in different ways. I grew up experiencing bold-faced racism at a young age, so it started for me a long time ago, and it will continue. It's not something that is trending for me. It's personal. Appreciate that, man. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Bossed Up Stacks. He said, the biggest lesson I've learned is that we've become too comfortable and recording things that we should be more hands-on about a lot in these situations. 2, he said, I want to start some self-defense classes and help people lose their fear. Number 3, my fuel became lit when I got locked up for marching in Yonkers for Trayvon Martin. We had to fight back. Appreciate that, brother. Some real powerful answers, man. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Brittany Cross. She said, a lot of suffering and self-hate, which is why we lose course so quickly. Number 2, that we all seek common knowledge and stop the self-hate. Question number 3, since the start of learning about who I am and the people I came from. We appreciate your comment, man. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Hayat Watts. She said we are collectively too easily manipulated. Question 2, I shan't dare to speak for we, since it is yet undetermined that we're all wanting the same thing. Appreciate that, man. I think that what she's saying is it's unfair to say, well, we all want one person to say that if we ain't all collectively sat down and spoke about this, right? We might not all want the same thing, so be careful how we respond to things, y'all. Number 3, my parents have always been conscious. I grew up in a park with one of the lost poets, and as an extended family uncle, revolutionary is literally what I'm made of. Appreciate that, man. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Mike Steezo. He said, amen, King. Inshallah, brother. Toast to the town. The next comment comes from Devron Epps. He said, I know the feeling, bro. Sometimes just need a simple mental escape from the madness. And that's true, man. That's why I felt like it was important we had a self-space and start focusing on self-care. You can't be out there fighting the war, man, if you can't, take care of yourself in a way where you still feel like you at your best mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. We got to come together, man. Take some time so you could be the best version of yourself, man. Our next comment comes from Taylor P. She said, I agree with deleting people. If you don't like what's being said, you don't need them on your page. Princess, you so sharp. Daddy love you. Toast to the town. Our next comment comes from Butter to Fire. She said, police brutality correlates with racial injustice. I believe both should be addressed at the same time, TP. I appreciate that. I'm going to touch on that for a second. So when I said that I feel like some people getting away from what we initially started for, the police shooting of George Floyd, when I speak of racism, I think sometimes people feel like we could focus on racism but not address the police brutality, right? So it's almost like these are two separate entities, but they kind of correlate with one another. However, we got to be careful and make sure that we don't allow the police to get off the hook. That's what my point was. Let's focus on this police brutality and these people of color being gunned down by the police. And we could also focus on racism. However, one thing at a time, man. This police brutality, to me, is something that kind of, it perpetuates the racism. It gives them the privilege to feel like we got somebody to protect us if we want to call out foul play. That's just my opinion, though. Appreciate your insight. Toast to the town. Now, a few minutes ago, I asked y'all about the term PSYOP. Now, a PSYOP is a psychological experiment. And basically what's going on with the PSYOPs is they go out there, they create something, and they pay attention to how we respond to it. Now, how we respond to it will determine how they go about the next plan of action. Now, I know this is very touchy when I say a lot of the stuff that we going crazy for out here in America don't even be real. I be serious about that, man. I'm not going to use this episode to touch on a lot of different PSYOPs that we may have had in the last, say, 5-10 years. But it's a lot of them, man. And because we don't do our research, it's a lot of us are just jumping out the window whenever we see or we hear something on television, on the radio, or on social media. We got to be careful, man. And along with these PSYOPs, you got to pay attention to the infiltration. Like I mentioned in the last episode, a lot of these powerful, I want to say, entities and, organizations that have been ran or led by people of color have been infiltrated, by the opposition. And a lot of times what they do is they try to find ways to make us feel like they're in support of what we're doing. So a good example would be Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? Black Lives Matter was started by, two women of color. One was, allegedly gay. One was a transgender. And also, a black male. Now, when we speak about Black Lives Matter, there's a plethora of different topics, that fall into play. However, when you think about all the things that's going on, the rallying, the protesting, traveling to different places, the marketing, the promoting of Black Lives Matter, that take payola, capital. And it's unfortunate, but a person of color is not funding Black Lives Matter. And so when you think about it, you got to wonder, what's the real agenda behind it? Because a lot of times, especially in business, if the plan of action and the person, who's spending the money to support this plan of action, if they don't agree, the business oftentimes fall apart. You know what I'm saying? So, for example, let's say Coca-Cola said, I want all kids, to go to school in uniform. And I'll pay the tuition for all the kids to go to college. And they come to a public school and find out kids is walking around, they not wearing uniforms, it's a good chance they not sending them kids to college. That's what I mean when I say we got to do our research, man. I think Black Lives Matter is dope. It's just a powerful slogan. But I think right now, in this moment in time, I think we got to be pro-black. And remember, when I say pro-black, it don't mean that we anti anything else. It just means that we that much more passionate about us. We need black-owned businesses. We need black education institutions. We need black literacy. When I say literacy, I'm talking about financial literacy. We need black financial literacy programs. Banks and things like that. That's the only way we're going to be able to take over our community and make it ours again. We have to have these resources, and they have to be from people of color. Other than that, people going to make their money. They're going to go back to where they belong, and they're going to focus on their own community. Now, in closing, I just want to remind everybody, man, we got to stay focused on our health, And when I talk about health, mental health count too. Make sure you're eating your fruits and vegetables, you exercising. You taking time to replenish and recharge. Make sure we studying, right? The sources of information out there, they not, controlled by us. And so that information is not always accurate. Let's not always run with the first thing that we hear on TV. I got an analogy that I want to share with y'all, and this is for people who love sports. I'm a basketball activist. I love basketball. I grew up playing basketball all my life. And so if you know the game of basketball, you know that when you press, oftentimes the objective of the press is to create turnovers. I learned this as a young child. Oftentimes when the team attacks and they press, as soon as we cross half court, we become complacent. We feel like we broke the press. But that's oftentimes where the most turnovers take place. That we start to, we feel like we made it and we don't got to work as hard to get that basket. It's not just about getting across half court. It's about scoring the basket. And so what I'm trying to say is not just about going out there and saying that we participated. It's about making sure we get heard, make sure we get what we want, make sure that we win this revolution. It's halftime, y'all. Make sure we focus, man. Make sure we not half-stepping. Make sure we not losing focus on what it is that we said that we was doing this for. Make sure we not allowing people to infiltrate what we trying to create. Make sure we not falling for the psyops, man. This is all stuff that's important, man. It's all a part of war. The art of war, man. I want to, again, say thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. We appreciate all the comments. We appreciate all the subscription. And we appreciate all the shares. Let's just keep this going, man. Let's try to build a bigger following. Let's try to reach more people. Anybody who got a topic they want to discuss, it's tparismusicgroup1@gmail.com. Last thing I'm going to say, man, power to the people. Toast to the town. Peace.